Let me ask you, dead or alive, raise taxes on the wealthy?
Why would we want to raise taxes on people? There's no free lunch. And the president wants to raise taxes because he wants to increase Washington spending.
I'll take that as a dead.
Dead. Real dead.
Make community college free of charge. Dead or alive?
We've added more debt during the Obama years than all the presidents from George Washington down to George Bush.
I'll put that down as dead as well.
Fascinating segment released from CBS. More coming up on Sunday night at 60 Minutes. House Speaker John Boehner, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying some of those ideas obviously dead on arrival. But is there room to negotiate on other matters? Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst, Mary Catherine Ham, editor-at-large of HotAir.com and a Fox News contributor as well. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Taxes, debt, these are traditional issues, and I think the answers were to be expected. However, MK, you believe that the president thinks Mitch McConnell can deliver. Explain.
Well, he has said in the past that he is a sort of a trustworthy negotiator, somebody who knows what he can get out of the Senate. Now, if the president would like to recognize that there is a new Senate in play here. He did not recognize McConnell or that situation during the State of the Union address. But if he would like to recognize that, I think he does have a partner in McConnell who could work on something like, for instance, real tax reform, who I think has signaled already that he would work on some of those trade proposals that the president brought up that the Democrats were not real fond of during the State of the Union. But as far as tax reform goes, especially, it's going to have to be actual tax reform that simplifies instead of just doing the tweaks that make Obama ideologically happy. That's obviously not going to fly.
All right, now, what do you think, Juan? I saw a comment where you said Paul Ryan sees rays of hope here, or optimism. Explain.
Well, I think Paul Ryan's pretty intent on the idea that you could do something, especially on the poverty side, with the earned income tax credit for working people who don't make enough money to get above a certain level, Bill. So that earned income tax credit is very real for Paul Ryan. But in addition, I think that if you look at what Cathy McMorris Rodgers, another Republican in leadership, has said, you look at ideas like additional money for child care. I think they would triple it. Additional money for households where both spouses work. They would add, I think, $500 for those folks. These are policies that Republicans have endorsed in the past, and I think it gives you some idea of where Republicans are willing to work with this president in terms of those in delivering on those tax policies.
There's potential here. Now, quickly before I go back to you, MK, this is also dead on arrival, apparently. Listen.
Increasing the federal minimum wage.
Bad idea.
Dead.
It's a bad idea. I've had every kind of rotten job you can imagine growing up and getting myself through school. And I wouldn't have had a chance at half those jobs. It's the federal government that kept imposing higher minimum wage. Low-income jobs help people get skills and they can climb the economic ladder.
You know, there's the House Speaker saying that. Now, we mentioned trade and the child care tax credit as potential for compromise. Maybe that happens, MK, maybe it does not. But from this chair sitting over here, I see these two sides fighting to a draw all the way to 2016.
Well, they're definitely going to fight. I mean, they're not going to agree on everything, but if the president would like to engage, I think there's a chance to do that. I think the House is always a wild card, as we've seen even just recently with Republicans and what they can get through. The Senate, I think, as I said, McConnell has a handle on what he can do there. But the problem is also with something like the minimum wage hike or the free community college. These are things that sound simple and sound lovely, but actually aren't free of costs. I mean, it's not free community college. It ends up, benefiting the colleges and the people who make the loans, not the students. The prices go and get inflated because nobody's paying the actual cost or seeing that cost. And then you end up with community college that's as effective as public K through 12, which I'm not sure is exactly what we want. These things don't come without costs, but the president insists on acting like they do. Republicans are going to insist on dealing with those costs.
Okay, Juan, what about that?
Well, I think the costs are very interesting. I mean, things like, raising the tax on estates from 23 to 28%, I think most Americans would say that's fine. I think when most Americans are asked about the 1%, especially the big banks, even Republicans have said, you know what, these big banks are getting away with a lot here, too big to fail. I'm like, it's not going to kill anybody to put a little additional tax there, especially at a time when it would be creating more income mobility for people who feel as if they're stuck right now, especially the working class.
Depends on how you structure the deal, whether or not that gets through.
Yeah, but I think politically, and this comes back to what you were talking about earlier, politically, I don't see how Republicans are positioning themselves for what looks to be a 2016 campaign where you're going to have the Democrats hammering income inequality.
We'll see whether or not they play to withdrawal here. And then you got a veto threat of anywhere from 4 to 7 items in 1 week.
Wow.
Mary Catherine, thank you. Juan, thanks to you as well.